I used to think silence was harmless. Something soft. Something neutral. But the night everything finally cracked open, I learned silence has teeth. It happened at my family's Thanksgiving dinner. Of all places, right when my mother lifted her wine glass like she was hosting a televised award show. Her smile stretched too wide, the kind she only used when she wanted the whole room orbiting around my sister. Marla's wedding was incredible, she announced. So Rhea, when will we be celebrating yours? A few relatives laughed. My father treated the turkey like it was a hostage situation. And across the table Marla didn't blink. She just looked at me with that careful, polished stillness she practiced her whole life. Did I put my fork down? I already had my wedding, I said. You all got invitations. The silence was instant, cold and absolute. My father whispered. We never received anything, honey. But I knew. Of course I knew. I'd known for months. I just hadn't said it out loud. I reached into my bag. And when my fingers brushed the phone inside, it felt like touching the truth I'd been avoiding. Growing up in that house was like living inside a photograph someone else was constantly editing. Everything had to be symmetrical, perfect, beautiful. And in every picture, every story, every holiday card, Marla stood in the center. She was the golden one. The curated one. Dance trophies, pageants, photo shoots, drama club posters with her face on them. And me? I learned early how to take up as little space as possible. Tio clapped quietly. To stay out of the way. Tio let my sister shine because everyone else expected me to. By the time we hit high school, it wasn't just a pattern. It was protocol. When I got into an honors program, my mom asked if I could wait to celebrate, because the lighting was better for Marla's new headshots that evening. When I won a citywide science award, she hung the ribbon in the hallway, right below Marla's wall of framed achievements, where no one would ever notice. I didn't revolt. I adapted, moving to the city for work wasn't rebellion. It was survival. My apartment was tiny, barely enough room for a desk and a bed, but it was mine. And Luca changed everything. My now husband saw me the way sunlight finds dust in a room. He noticed things, remembered things. His family noticed me too. They weren't flashy or loud, they just showed up. The first time his mother Elena hugged me, she held on longer than my own mother ever had. She asked about my job as an environmental analyst like it mattered. Because to her, it did. So when Luca proposed on a fog-filled morning near the water, saying yes felt like stepping into a life where I finally existed. We planned a tiny ceremony. A chapel on the coast. 30 guests. Nothing extravagant. I designed the invitations myself, cream paper, pressed wildflowers, a soft gold border. I mailed them with signature required, because I knew how easily things in my family went missing. Everything showed as delivered. Then the silence came. Days went by. Then weeks. Then the wedding came and went with empty chairs where my parents and sister should have been. I tried calling. I tried texting. I tried pretending it didn't make my chest ache. One night, while we were washing dishes, Luca quietly asked, Rhea, your family didn't respond at all? I shook my head. Not once. He didn't lecture me. He didn't say I told you so. He simply said, let's check the tracking logs. We opened the postal records. 4 deliveries. 4 signatures. And the same handwriting on every one. Marla's. It felt like someone pressed a thumb hard into the bruise I'd carried since childhood. Why would she hide my wedding? Why would she bury something so important to me? But the answer was already sitting in my chest like a stone. Her wedding, the one she'd been planning since she was 12, was in September. 300 guests. Imported flowers. A dress so expensive she made my mother cry happy tears. Why June wedding didn't compete. It endangered her spotlight. But knowing isn't the same as accepting. I needed proof. The email logs showed my announcement had been opened from my parents' house and deleted permanently by Marla's device. I stared at the screen until my throat tightened. She didn't forget. She didn't lose anything. She intercepted every piece of information about my wedding and quietly erased me. Thanksgiving approached like a storm I could feel through my bones. I almost stayed home. But I was done being the quiet one, the safe one, the invisible one. When I walked into the dining room that night, it was already staged like a magazine spread. Silverware perfectly aligned. Candles flickering in their crystal holders. My mother fussing. My father distracted. And Marla, of course, posing by the fireplace like a glossy advertisement for her own life. Not one person asked how I'd been. Not one mentioned the fact they'd all missed my wedding. Dinner became a tribute ceremony dedicated entirely to Marla. Her dress, her venue, her guests, her professional photographs. Then my mother tapped her glass. "So Ria, when's your big day?" And that's when the match struck. "I already got married," I said softly. "6 months ago. And you were all invited." Chaos didn't erupt and no one yelled. Instead, something worse happened. They all froze. Then my father whispered the lie. "We never received anything." I didn't argue that. I simply placed my phone on the table and opened the first receipt. 4 signatures. Her name on each one. My mother inhaled sharply. My father leaned closer like the truth needed to be inspected under a microscope. Marla didn't flinch. "These were signed for on April 17th, I said. "By you, Marla." My mother shook her head. "No, sweetheart, you must be misunderstanding." "Stop." My voice didn't rise. I didn't need it to. "You keep making excuses for her. You never look at what she actually does." Marla shot up in her chair. "I don't remember signing anything." But her voice cracked at the edges, and my father's patience snapped. "You didn't see 4 packages from your sister? Around the time she announced she was engaged." "It's not my job to monitor everyone's mail," she fired back. There she was, the real Marla. Not the perfect daughter. Not the golden child, the gatekeeper, the controller. The one who decided what my parents saw and didn't see it. I swiped to the email logs. "This is the deletion record," I said quietly. "The announcement was opened from this house and erased. Your device, Marla." Her face drained. My mother whispered. "Why would she ever do that?" I met Marla's eyes. "Because my wedding was in June. Yours was in September. Because you couldn't stand the idea of anything drawing attention away from you." Marla's breath hitched. She opened her mouth, but instead of denying it, something else slipped out. "You don't get it," she whispered. "You've always made people feel guilty without trying. You walk in a room and people notice you. It isn't fair." I stared. All the years of silence, of shrinking myself, of making space for her. And still she believed I stole something from her. My father sat back, defeated. My mother folded in on herself like she couldn't hold the world up anymore. I stood. "I'm done," I said. My father grabbed my arm. "Please, don't leave like this." "We are talking," I said. "For the first time. But I'm done begging for a place in this family." I picked up my coat. "You didn't miss my wedding," I told them. "You chose not to see it." Then I walked out. The door didn't slam. It closed with a soft, final click. Outside, Luca was already moving toward me, worry in his eyes, warmth in his hands. He held me until my shaking stopped. No questions and no judgment. Just presence. A week later, Marla sent a long bleeding heart email about therapy and reflection. I read it. I didn't respond. My father started calling. Carefully, quietly, trying in small ways. I let him try. My mother stayed silent. And somehow, that silence finally felt like clarity, not punishment. "The people who show up, again and again, are your family." Luca cooking dinner. His mother squeezing my hand. Friends filling our home with loud laughter and real love. That is family. Sometimes the bravest, most terrifying thing you can do is walk away from the people who refuse to see you. And toward the ones who always have. If any part of this story feels familiar, tell me where you're watching from and share your own story below. I want to hear you. And make sure you subscribe, there's more on the way.